Ganjila Nigra Jemba Meba Jela Mugu Gamjengo Zumba Menga Dego Jipela Mala Junda Zoande Beganjila Jume Mugu Chivra Jela Yeme gamje ngujra zomba kanshara tobe ngoso mante maju te granjo gamje la gamza lodan trawa jenje namto ngujra zomba Cheyon maye cheyon chawala Ankaro brajare gamchela Kunde yeme tobra jenjela Chewa ganda yonda lama Rame juje pala lanche Sadon lamje yade razune Doje Jangre Kovon Yodo Garden Chao Lama Rinpoche Luggage Better than you la Garden Jimbo Gonages on there Doje Motroza One longer do numbers and then Doje Magellan on top of Sunday Joko but June Jungle Braza, Tivechita, Tambach, then it's again the center, Tanya, the brother. Numbers on bottom, you could touch a bottom budget, sold out the same brush, Tela Consamble, some brother, Are we good to go now?
Yeah, there's still a few more folks, but they'll join in as we get going here. I think we're a couple of folks shy, but we'll see if they'll come in a little later.
Okay, we can do a little meditation. In my list, I have a fifth meditation on Bodhicitta. So we can begin with ultimate Bodhicitta and then a little bit of relative Bodhicitta. How about that?
Okay, sounds good.
Because I'm not totally calm at the moment. when was I calm? I don't remember. So ultimate Bodhicitta, we did talk a little bit, especially at the beginning, even though I didn't say that was ultimate Bodhicitta, but I did touch based on some of the stories that Khenpo Rinpoche told, especially Khenpo conscious presentation and recognition of our ultimate nature, or primordial wisdom, or Buddha nature, no matter what kind of situation we are surrounded, no matter what kind of mental state we are in, the ultimate nature of our primordial wisdom is utterly pure, calm, not attached or not touched by or stained by any afflictive emotions, disturbing emotions. So while we are going through these emotions, still the ultimate nature is always innocent. So we basically gathering ourselves so calm, especially whatever feelings we are going through, we simply resting in its own nature without rejecting emotions or without rejoicing, rather, being in that within that emotion. especially we try not to calm ourselves, we try not to dissolve something, we just to be where as it is, whatever mental state we are. The only difference is that we are not following or schooled by emotions. We are not controlled by emotions, and we just simply let them arise, accepting every emotion, yet we are continue resting at the present moment. Every emotion, every thought arise, dissolve, whatever activity is going on does not affect anything with our presence of mind. There is always that moment of presence. Even thought arise, whatever thought arise, either can be in the past or future. It cannot be presence. The reason why we feel that thoughts so continuation, thoughts are unstoppable, is because we basically we are dragged by thoughts, so we are constantly following them instead of being still, instead of being in nature. So ultimate bodhicitta means tendam chanchuchusen. Tendam means it's the destination, it's the genuine nature, tentamba. This is the genuine goal, which means organic. It is not something different color of thoughts, rather the mind, organic mind or innocent mind. And as we say, even like KTD, when you walk through the building, it says silence is wisdom, which means when thoughts arise and when you don't follow them or judge them, and just simply be in silent of your wisdom, which is the nature of your mind. That silence of your mind or wisdom is always present. Every noise that mind make is very temporary on the surface of of your mind. It's only the fragile of your mind. Earlier we have mentioned Namshi, the mind that only judges about appearances, phenomena, conditions. But we are better than that. That is the self-liberation. Cutting the root of samsara is simply being that silence of organic mind or original mind, all presence of mind. So meditate or garments become familiar. So we become familiar with our nature of mind, just like we are so familiar, become accustomed with our habitual patterns. So we can also become familiar with our nature of mind. All right. Sometimes, like when teacher doesn't have, teaching skills, they're trying to guide you in meditation, trying to spend time as much as you could, because he or she basically emptied everything, not much. All right, so this morning was very colorful. Even like on screen, I see people. I saw cats. I saw dogs. I saw beard. I saw hares. I saw hair. No hair. And that was very, very transparent. And I'm looking at basically. I'm not really. It's interesting because. In our mind's projection is that when you just without anybody on the screen, you're looking at your iPad, it doesn't really bring you any nervous or any excitement. The moment you see a projection of somebody's picture, like giving teaching or something, and then you feel everybody, you feel like so fixated. So. So every reaction kind of, we just changing our mentality. So this is what's going on with our mind, especially my mind is that, everything what you face, whether it's a reflection of form or sound or whatever, it just, become the, how do you say, kind of control your destination or your mind in daily life. But as a practitioner, this should be opposite. Right? Everything what you see or what you hear is just very temporary, fragile, and not really reliable. Rather, you just gather your thoughts, or you go back to original, which is very nature of mind is very silent and utterly pure and very vast. There's no more neurotic ego and sense of satisfaction. That is very important word, satisfaction, because now we understand that why this great master like Milarepa physically enduring so much suffering, all difficulties that they go through as we think, but for them it's a very satisfying, very so much pleasant, and always sing song with empty stomach, or like no clothes, and so cold, and all conditions very harsh, but mentally no longer going through, no longer controlled by slave, like we are the slave of this projection and thoughts. And so then now I go back to the topic. This morning we finished the origin of bodhicitta, so to speak, and also definition of bodhicitta. Cause and the conditions of bodhicitta, that's the one I would like to touch with. The cause and the condition of bodhicitta. So bodhicitta is, as we have mentioned about relative bodhicitta and ultimate bodhicitta. The cause and condition of bodhicitta is absolute compassion and loving kindness, which is based on realization of suffering of sentient beings. As Buddha taught when he gave the Four Noble Truths, suffering should be recognized, can be recognized, which means that whether it's samsaric overall sentient being suffering or individual suffering, we realize that our mind is suffering tremendously simply because of our habitual patterns and our depression. All of this are also a projection of continuation of accumulation of negative karma, because stressed, depressed, distracted is not just a temporary distraction or suffering, but it prints such very severe negative karma. Temporarily, we can't be happy. We are not able to, be satisfied, and an ongoing suffering, and ultimately continue creating further negative karma. Therefore, the cause for bodhicitta or condition bodhicitta is that realizing that all other sentient beings who can be our loved ones, who can be neutral, who can be our maybe some people we don't like, regardless, they're constantly chasing after this serious negative karma and continue experience suffering. So we as a practitioner, it's almost like watching parents that their own child or children is going into danger place or some unsafe places, and you cannot bear that feeling or what you see. Therefore, two realizations happens. One is that self-realization that no matter what kind of condition we have physically, doesn't really help unless we are reduced negative thoughts. Reducing negative thoughts may not be that serious, or may not be that hard if we take it very seriously. For example, when Shantideva taught about Bodhichitta Prayer, in the Wisdom chapter, he has mentioned that Nyamon Shirap Magpong. I think I always quote this a lot. If I repeat it again, then that means I'm repeating again. And so Nyamon, it's very, very important word. Nyamon is a kleshas. And then also it's referring to fragile, or weak. Sometimes we say somebody is suffering or weak. They are physically very weak or mentally very weak, which means sometimes like, a weak also means doesn't have stability. So when Shantideva mentioned about this kleshas, first kleshas, Nyamon, first Nyamon is kleshas, negative thoughts. Then second, the word Nyamon means fragile, weak. So basically, what does this mean? That is kind of good news for us, because we feel that these negative thoughts or emotions are, extremely powerful and nothing can stop it. But when it is, when we apply reasoning or when you apply meditation, so Shantideva discovered that this is weak. Kleshas are weak, fragile, because there's no basis of it. There's no true natural existence. That's why, when we talk about primordial wisdom, there's no, it's untouched by negative thoughts. It's a temporary, fragile. So kleshas are weak. It cannot stand on it forever if you apply meditation. So nyamo shiro magpang. So what does that mean? This kleshas, which is very weak, can be abandoned by the wisdom I. That means that simply recognizing kleshas are weak doesn't mean they disappear. They can be meditated. They can be. We can be applied meditation and abandoned or transformed. It's very obvious that that's what the blessing of Dharma is that, okay, let me take myself as an example. As I mentioned, I go through a lot of mental suffering, stress. And if I have a lucky day, and through the blessing of Guru, is that, let's, what I taught earlier. Let's see, I'm really irritated. I'm distressed. I'm depressed. Let's see, what I teach normally. Let's see anything else that I just to feel different. Begin to touch the basis of your kleshas, or analyzing or resting in the presence of your mind. And even though maybe there's no guarantee that it will be successful due to your lack of familiarity or practice. However, the moment you think about that, already reducing your negative thoughts. Please write that down. That's very important because that's how you really transform your negative thoughts. I was joking, write that down, but it's already recording. So then you have a sense of what Shantideva said, that kleshas are weak because they don't stand themselves. If you apply a wisdom I. What is wisdom I? Analytical meditation, shamatha meditation, forcefully cutting your emotions. And that's also applied in Mahamudra practice. What does forcefully cutting means? Middle of your anger, middle of all this firing, almost, unimaginable emotions, feelings happening, and then you pause, or you just rest in that massive feeling of emotion. You're resting, let it arise. You are not rejecting, and you're letting it pass, or whatever emotion wants to do, as long as you apply awareness, aware emotions arising, not expecting or pushing them going away, or not expecting to liberate, but just be as it is. And then you have a sense of liberation, self-liberation, just like snake uncoils itself, like we have to liberate our thoughts by itself, not forcefully doing that, but to be very natural. That could be outside. While cutting the thorns, it could be while you're walking, it could be while you are driving, it could be while I change diapers or something like that. You know what I mean? So seriously because, it can apply anyway. That's the really blessing of Dharma, because as long as you are unconscious, right? If you are fainted or something, your mind is with you like shadow, and your ultimate nature is like with you like a shadow. And that's a blessing. So that's what it means. Nyamon Shiro make promise. These glaciers can be abandoned by wisdom eye. And so when that happens, and then actual Milarepa sings songs like he used a lot about unbearable compassion. Unbearable compassion. It's not just a simple compassion or pity, saying, "Oh, poor this guy." I wish it's making aspiration, but he had this unbearable compassion, which means that really deep down in your mind, sense of realization that all sentient beings, everybody, no matter who they are, unnecessarily experiencing suffering based on ignorance, which means that when you begin to experience self-nature or nature of mind, so you could see how emotion can be liberated. And then you begin to discover that up until now, how I meditated, everything wasn't really correct, but it means to guide to reach this state. And then you begin to see other sentient beings constantly experience suffering and then continue torment by cause of suffering. So that's how you, have unbearable compassion. So unbearable compassion does not bring you, suffering, because you also understand that compassion supported by wisdom, which means you also understand that samsara means samsara, or the the nature of suffering, and sentient beings, regardless how desperate as to liberate them, but they still go through suffering. However, you find a way to connect with your loved ones, or you find a way to connect with your students, or you are not in that hurry to or desperate emotionally, but also you are very elegant and to share that and practice and able to teach one person how to liberate their mind, and then that person experience that, and then that person will tell someone else. So that's how you begin to kind of change the world, instead of having like a protest or something like that. So the cause of bodhicitta is loving kindness and compassion. And then fourth, benefits of bodhicitta. As Shandindeva also mentioned in Bodhicavatara, is that look at the difference between people who practice or not. He said that look at sentient beings who constantly 24 hours doing everything that they can do for behalf of themselves, but still in deep in samsara. And look at the Buddhas, Bodhisattvas, constantly practicing bodhicitta, and they are already enlightened. That's the differences between, whether you practice a bodhicitta or not. And of course, also like people who take bodhisattva vow, at the aspiration bodhicitta, especially implementation bodhicitta. It is said that if you truly generate bodhicitta and then receive that transmission from teacher, and never abandon any sentient being mentally, spiritually, even though you can't help physically. If you have that kind of vow, pure vow, and then whether you are sleeping or walking, and your the benefit or blessing always increase and increase. Unlike Patimoksha vow, like monks or nuns vow, bodhicitta can be also broken by abandoning other sentient beings. Like when you talk about getting angry to someone, you're still breaking some of the branches of the vows. However, as long as you don't abandon any sentient being mentally, and that is, consider keeping Bodhisattva vow. And so if you break branch, you still could, continue, renew it by simply chanting and visualizing Buddha's Bodhisattvas in front of you and chanting, chanting Nyingpo Chichipa, etc. If you are doing Hundu practice, it counts with that. Not only that, but also if you are chanting any form of practice, always begin with the refuge vow and the bodhicitta, generating bodhicitta, and that would also continue, renew, and enhance bodhicitta. So we did a little bit of meditating on bodhicitta. And then last, into how we practice it in daily life. I think this is something related with what question was asked by Mike about how we begin bodhicitta, in daily life. So at the beginning of the day, it is always recommended to also practice refuge. That's why sometimes, taking refuge in Buddha, Dharma, Sangha. And when you take refuge, but bodhicitta, even you don't chant bodhicitta, only refuge vow, and still you have, you are generating bodhicitta because you say, I'm taking refuge in Buddha, Dharma, Sangha for the benefit of all sentient beings. But there are a lot of conditions also has to have in order to have a strong feeling or genuine bodhicitta, because if bodhicitta is on paper or on teaching and feel only useful, feel good, it's not sufficient. But you also want to apply the precious, precious human life, as Shantin there mentioned. Tanjundan nipa shendaka jivutan topra chipala kadendala pemba maduna chindayo ranjawa kalan means this precious human birth is extremely hard to obtain. If we don't do something in this very, very life, meaning like, why are we alive, which is very uncertain. Could be a few days, could be a few months, could be a few years. It's in it's very difficult to achieve precious human birth, and precious human birth is a potential, have the full potential to achieve enlightenment. If we don't do something beneficial practice in this life, how do you expect you will achieve this precious human birth again? So this very day, very moment is also extremely precious. And when we do the Guru Yoga practice in a retreat, for example, it is mentioned this very seat, this very moment, this very presence may I liberate, because that is explaining that you can be also liberated in this very moment, this very seat, especially when you do meditation, self-liberation. Now, when emotions begin to arise, and if you are able to successfully looking at the nature of that emotion and liberate that emotion, and then all emotions are same rhythm. There's no such thing, one emotion. 2 days you arise some like anger or frustration, and tomorrow you frustrate. Doesn't matter what cause it could be, but liberation is same method, always work, but you have to have tolerance, right? Liberation, you have to have tolerance or patience. So maybe 3 things I'm trying to say here for daily bodhicitta practice. And it is very hard to remind, oneself without maybe some kind of a study with, like a book that is talk about like Bodhicitta Tara or 37 practice of Bodhisattva. Or there are many books, especially concerned with bodhicitta. And if you, right now I'm reading the Bodhichitta Avatar, receiving teachings, listening to teachings. So this is very beneficial for me because that's why I'm quoting a lot from Shantin Deva's text. And when I was in Dharma school, I memorized everything. And now I forgot most of it. But when I read again, it kind of comes back, the memory, it's so it is said in sutras that if bodhicitta, if you truly generate bodhicitta, and if there's such a form that could be, fill the entire planet, and this is beyond the space or, and so much merit. Even you performed like like serious negative consequence, like killing, or like a 5 immediate consequences, as we say, bodhicitta, through the practice of bodhicitta can be, purified. So the first is that, importance of bodhicitta. Once you know how important it is, then it's like, we have some illness, and it can be very severe. And then doctor says, this medicine or this diet, it's very important. Otherwise, you will really, have permanent damage or such. And because you are afraid of that, you treasure your health, and you will, even though it's hard, you will, you understand the benefit of doing exercise or diet, or maybe treatment, whatever the doctor recommend. You will do everything what what you could. Similarly, once you understand the benefit and the power of bodhicitta, temporarily healing, satisfaction of mind, also purification, gathering accumulation of merit, and ultimately, cause of achieving enlightenment. So you will naturally remember. So it's important to understand the importance of it. Secondly, this morning I have mentioned that the self-liberation practice, and when you apply that, sometimes it may not be successful, and you feel so exhausted, a lot of physical work or a lot of work going on, and then sometimes instead of looking at the nature of mind, maybe you could think of those overlapping. So many emotions or thoughts arise as begin to practice downing, right? Sending love and receiving the suffering of others, and transforming those thoughts into bodhicitta mind, relative bodhicitta mind. And lastly, sometimes nothing can be working. That happened to me a lot. So you can make aspiration. You aspire, regardless, whether my practice was successful or not. May I, always able to generate bodhicitta. And one of the Shantin Deva's quotation or verse in the Bodhicitta Avatar says that regardless whatever connection I make to sentient beings, it could be smiling somebody, or it could be you don't yell, but yelling somebody no, there's no exist. Could be yelling or could be whatever you do. It says, whatever I do, activity, whether good or bad, always meaningful, making connection to other sentient beings, so that bad or good connection, I will always connect with bodhicitta when I achieve enlightenment. All of those individuals I made, good or bad connection, can be part of enlightened journey. You like this? Yeah, this is what is this? I don't know. Then I have this, a rabbit, and a forest. Because I was so nervous and distracted this morning, forgot to drink my water, and then I brought another one. I have 2 water. So there we go. So anyway, I think I'm kind of really ran out of to say. Those kind of lists I put together, and maybe we can have some question and answer or discussions. I know we still have about 45 minutes, and the floor is yours.
So anyone can unmute yourself if you'd like to ask a question, or you can put the question in the chat. Lama, there was a little bit of discussion after your the morning about the prayer, the Bodhichitta prayer, and where we can find that exactly.
It's end of chain, is the very end. Chanchu San Rinpoche, Maki Banam Tiji, Kipa Nyamba, Meba to Kone Konde Piash. This will come in the very end of the chain is a practice, dedication prayer, right? Janso's showing his big thumb with tattoo.
Mom, if I share that, could you show us? I'm going to share it on screen here.
Absolutely.
It's where we go back into prayer mudra at the very end.
There we go. Oh, yeah. You're getting there. Keep going. There we go. Yeah, very last 4 lines. May precious, Lord, right? Precious Master, may precious Bodhicitta arise within, within those who were where it had not arise, where it has arisen, may it not decline, may it ever grow and flourish. Let's see, interesting. May precious Bodhicitta arise. Okay, Chanchu San. Within those where it has not arisen, when it arises, may it not decline, may it ever grow and flourish. Chanchu, yeah, that's the one.
Thank you.
De nada.
Okay.
谢谢.
Mama hoo hoo.
Dankeschön.
Dr. D.
I can talk about something if someone doesn't. Sorry.
Hi, Jen.
So did someone else have a question before me? I'm sorry.
No?
I'm good. I'm good. Okay. Hello, Lama. Thank you.
You're welcome. Hello.
Hello. You mentioned unbearable compassion and how it doesn't bring you yourself suffering. It's this understanding that all the beings around you no matter how you may your personal feeling about them, or it's the awareness that they are also suffering immensely in samsara, and that's what unbearable compassion means. Is that what you were saying? Is that, am I getting the idea?
Yeah, you are. That's a good question. And unbearable.
You muted yourself, Lamala.
I didn't do it by
That
myself.
might have been me. Sorry, Lama. Sorry. Kind of overzealous with the mute button.
That's unbearable. So unbearable compassion means like if mother sees her child is immense suffering. That's the actual example, because all this bodhicitta teachings always comes with mother, because I can relate that with now. Before I know a little bit about, now I know mothers kind of really love to their child, right? And they it's very intense, and it's very steady, and mother, loving mother. So that's an example. But such enlightened like Milarepa, and he doesn't just okay, let's say when our teacher Khenpo Rinpoche sees somebody suffering, he normally has tears in his eyes with two things. One is guru's devotion, right? When they talk about Karmapa or something. And sometimes if you see really somebody has a lot of suffering. I remember one time Rinpoche and I traveled to Hong Kong, and we stayed in this nice hotel. And then one day Rinpoche was looking through the window, because it's a big window, and people walking back and forth, and then Rinpoche had tears in his eyes. I was like, well, what did he see? And he basically said that, look at all these people going back and forth. They're all looking for, searching for happiness. So, this is compassion. When we talk about unbearable compassion, sometimes it's like almost like so much emotional, like we can't bear our anger, or we can't bear our depression or such. It's not like, it's not torturing, but for them, it inspires, right? They inspires tremendously, but at the same time, it's not like torturing oneself, like, so depressed and just isolating something, right? So it's so inspired, but it's a term that they used, unbearable compassion, which inspires them to practice more to achieve enlightenment. But at the same time, there's a wisdom support for that. Is they are not really depressed, as I mentioned earlier, and they're just like, oh, I'm a handicap, I can't do anything, what should I do, my God? But instead, they joyfully inspired and practice continuously and benefit other sentient beings.
Thank you, Lamala.
You're welcome.
Because when you, uh, especially with, I mean, it's all the time. It's not just with the pandemic, but you could see it more during the pandemic, and I mean, there's just so many people that died, and then you think of their families and their friends, and then you think of the towns that lost people, that lost workers, and there's not much you can do about it. And then you hear about long COVID and how they have really hard mental issues that makes it hard for them to work, which I myself have gone through, and I know what that, just that one part about being having a mental affliction, that you can't do a lot of things and for a certain period of time. And that just, it made me cry when I heard that. Not only did these people have to go through COVID, the sickness, that now they're still having problems. And it just like, yeah. So when you said unbearable compassion, that was it. I feel these things, and then I guess I just add it to the depression I already feel, and
Right.
don't use it as an inspiration. I just let it sit there and make it worse.
Yeah,
instead of using it
definitely.
as an
I
inspiration.
think, yeah, the world did change through the pandemic for sure. You know, excuse me. There are a lot of things came up, you know, or politically or racially, you know, all kind of stuff, you know, happened. But as I think as his own Karmapa composed one verse says that if the world is very dark, you know, the world is become very dark, or no matter what happened in this world, but we still try to be a light for them. So environmental versus individual, individual responsibility, then environmental effect, right? So environmentally, where you live, as you have expressed, you know, there are so many people stressing the suffering and the losses, and it's very, very, you know, sad and very depressing. But at the same time, you know, we just simply cannot use the word as in I wouldn't, you know, maybe it's not a respect word, but I still want to use as an excuse, right? So the word is really, really bad that, you know, I supposed to be bad as well. So instead, this is where I inspire Dharma practice, because Dharma it's independent. It's not so much to do too much about environment, especially when I began teach about meditation this morning, that when the opportunity constantly given us, right, as a practitioner, I'm talking about practitioner level, all these emotions, you know, maybe already have depression, they have the more stress, you know, and all this coming. So we have to take that opportunity, because these opportunity of emotions are really good. You know, one word that I always like to use is accept. Let's take example myself. I was a monk, and I had all this, everybody, you know, respected. I was served everything, and then, you know, my life changed. And if I just constantly going back the memory that I had, like, oh, I should, you know, I was now it's different lifestyle, but I accept. Especially I feel like all these emotions or the the family life that are going through, everything is really train you, if there's such thing, better person, and you can see what's going on with other people's life, right? So because you are going through that same thing. So my kind of suggestion is that you know, when your friends or others, you know, talk about these you know, issues, etc., and so as a practitioner, you will maybe feel a sense of more tolerance than before, because, you know, these people sometimes don't have support, right? So you are able to be there, listen, and that's all they need. And then and then also, you don't want to become the victim either. You know, you don't want to be in center of somebody's life, whatever they talk about. You know, you have to be there, dragging in there, and then instead of depressed, and then instead of, you know, able to practice, or, you know, you are also could create a negative environment within your family, right? So that's why Dharma practice is really very beneficial. And if any individual could do like a few minutes meditation, you know, oneself, like especially emotional rise, if you are able to use that opportunities using those methods, and you know, you feel a sense of valuable for the society, valuable for those of people around, because you can still talk to them. Maybe you can teach meditation or, etc.
Thank you, Mama.
You're welcome.
We have Karma Jamso, would you like to ask your question?
Yes. Hello, Lama.
Hello.
I remember in 2016 at the North American Moonlam, Khenpo Rinpoche said that we need to be disgusted by samsara, that we have to have this revulsion in order for us to have the inspiration to work. And I've always had kind of issues about using a negative emotion to get me anywhere. I've had so many negative emotions in my life. I'm trying to get rid of them. I'm not trying to use them for something beneficial. I'm just trying to uproot them. So when I'm being told, use this feeling of disgust, can you talk on that?
I think, Rinpoche was reminding us, but we already discussed it with our negative emotion or samsara. I think we are in the middle of this suffering, and we all know that it's not healthy. It's actually not pure. Right? When you experience this emotion, it's so kind of disgusting, and also feel very very draining. Very draining. We all experience that, but sometimes that's what it's called habitual patterns, right? Habitual patterns, and I think one danger or one mistake that we could make with these feelings, not about the recognition of disgusting, but also habitual patterns, continue, having this some kind of addiction, right? Addiction, because we all know that smoking cigarette and taking drugs are very abusive, very bad, but people, when they're addicted, they see different, right? So that's the danger for any individual, especially for practitioners. So that's why, when you have this kind of emotion, disgusted, etc., but you are addicted, and then you're adding more things, negative, and so that's how you get an accumulation of negative karma, and that karma will continue obscure our mind, and then that's how we just continue being samsara. Instead, we haven't seen the other part of the light, right? So we continue driving in this, continue, going into this darkness, right? Thinking that this is cool, but then when you see the other part of the world, so beautiful light or greeny such, oh, I didn't know that there's another part, right? So likewise, as a practitioner, instead of we are disgusted, we suffered so much, we are abused by emotions, not by others, but our own emotions, constantly abusing the other. Now people talk a big deal about abusing, but how much we abuse ourselves is immense. It's the daily life. So instead, let's read Rinpoche's books that he wrote. Let's meditate, right? And this disgusting or very damaging emotions, they are not totally bad. That's why I always say accept it. Meanwhile, use it. Have the opportunity to meditate on those emotions, because these emotions constantly asking you to please liberate me, please liberate me. It's like that, right? So we have to take advantage and to meditate. And so I think, we all discussed it. I myself very, I don't like emotions. I don't. But sometimes, it's just, it's very hard. But that's why I feel this, reading Bodhichitta Avatara or meditating a little bit. And really, also there's a lot to, it's almost like watching a movie, right? And, some meditators did mention that, you watching your movement of thoughts and meditating. It's so there's so much to watch with your mind instead of watching what's going on out there. So there's a lot of festivity or party within your mind, because when you begin to understand these thoughts and the elaboration, and then you're really fascinated that how enlightened journey, fascinating. I don't even know if I answered any questions. Your question.
You did.
I was addicted with talking, so.
Going with the Moto language, thank you. Domo arigato.
I know arigato. Bonjour. Obrigado. You don't know that one.
Portuguese.
Go ahead.
Okay. Hi.
Hi.
Please. The question I had was, my friend told me a story that she used to be a Montessori school teacher, and the kids would stay after school sometimes. Some of them would learn violin. And some of the kids, when they put the violin and started to play it, they would like get all tensed up, like they were like thinking about it too much and trying too hard. So the teacher would distract them by asking them, do you have any pets? How many brothers and sisters do you have? And distract them. And then they would play the song beautifully. And I've noticed a similarity in my practice where if I just set my intention to the right place, and I go to practices and I study the Dharma, and then glimpses of wisdom will appear. But it's like if I have a goal or a destination that I think I want, it's like grasping, and it prevents me from getting there. Does that make sense?
Absolutely, that makes sense to me, because that's why I think one of the why I was guiding the meditation, saying that try not to liberate, right? Don't expect I want to liberate or try to push to liberate. Actually, I do a similar game with my son, because he likes to. He's so good about iPad, all this stuff. He sometimes when use my iPad, and so he knows that the password doesn't match. He asks me to put password. The moment I put the password, he goes on YouTube and then thinks that he doesn't like. He just going like this. And then suddenly watch TV. He wants to the remote, and then no, I just don't give him. Then he's so stressed, and then I just distract him by rolling on the floor, and he's shocked. So he just then the emotion kind of go. So anyway, yeah, Mati Loch Dharma, the female founder, the practitioner, said that means when you meditate, please always apply relaxation, not too tight, not too relaxed, because if you're too relaxed, and which means you are really, letting go your mind and let it distract, you're too relaxed. But I think what you have mentioned, violence, it's like Majilada, other practitioners, masters mentioned about a guitar, right? And you play a guitar, and if you just too hard, it sound doesn't. Anything, any music instrument, if you use too much, that other part is like, I think I don't want to talk about the political games or such, what's going on out there. I think sometimes too extreme, right? Anything that is too extreme, always suffering. Meditation, same thing, If you want to always want to liberate, I want to liberate my mind, and you are going too far because you're constantly shaking your mind instead of, it's like a container of water. You're just constantly shaking, right? Instead of slow it down or, be still. So that was very helpful. Thank you for sharing.
I have a question, and you mentioned something earlier, and I'm not sure if it's just the way I heard it. About practicing bodhicitta when you're angry or negative emotions arise. How do you maintain that attitude when you have negative emotions? Is it looking at the situation? Or what do we do in that moment?
Transformation, transformation, because we must recognize any negative thought we go through or stress we go through. It's not just a temporary torture, but it's just an ongoing negative karma created, right? And one of the, I think, important for practitioner is that we must have some sense of fear about negative karma. It's not just, today it's a nice day and I had a good walk and I feel so good. And that is not sufficient. I was a little angry, I'm sorry, it's gone now. That's not sufficient. But as a practitioner, we are responsible, with our emotions. Okay, earlier I was upset like maybe 1 hour or something. That's very long. But 1 hour accumulation of negative karma. That is a very severe negative karma. And so when I mentioned about bodhicitta, if you talk about ultimate bodhicitta, and when you have this emotions or negative thoughts arise, and also recognizing that it doesn't really face my ultimate nature, right? You have to remind yourself. That's how you kind of a baby step, right? The moment you remind yourself, oh yeah, I'm feeling now, however, it does not affect my ultimate nature, primordial wisdom. And also I mentioned that they will, you have sense of lightness or liberation or like transparent, immediately. That is a sign of, this weakness of emotion. And secondly, also, unfortunately, because we are not so used to it, and sometimes we cannot control it, and sometimes out of control, even you apply such methods, and then instead of disgust it, or instead of first frustrated with your emotion, and you think about bodhicitta, thinking, oh, I'm not the only person on this emotional cage. There are so many other sentient beings, unnecessarily suffering so much, and may I able to use this emotion to liberate them, right? So that is in bodhicitta mind, with based on compassion, because you are not torturing yourself, as well as you are using that emotion on the path, right?
Thank you.
Looks like you're in library, or those books might fall.
Well, this is the back of my records with the books, as my shrine room is where you can't see.
And then Jansu look like you are Amitabha. Chen is that to the right. The other one must be Vajrapati. You are the Amitabha in the center. Just joking. Oh, you have a Zambala look like. Oh, Barney, hi Barney, Michael, Rosa, Sally, Willie. Hi Barney. Hi Michael. Hi Sally. Oh, that's Willing. Willing, please do contact me through WeChat after this, okay?
Oh, okay, thanks.
So everything is going well with my side, and or September 1st when I finished my president job, and the next day my wife told me, "You look younger." It's kind of, I think it's I don't have really mental capacity to maintain always cool, so she noticed right away. Well, she no secret there, but I just able to spend a lot with my son, and we spend half an hour to read Tibetan, ka ka ka. So he doesn't really read much. He just rolling around doing a lot of things, but just a little bit of habitual patterns. You can hear it, and certain pronunciation he thinks is very funny. He laughs so hard, so it's kind of very joyful. And yeah, pandemic was very hard, but I think playing with my son was very healing for me. And every transition, went peacefully. I would say it's very, I was very, very, I was overjoyed and extremely happy that, we don't have someone like a stranger or something, like, real Khenpo Rinpoche's long-term student, and someone, retreat master who knows KTD and Karme Ling very well, and Lama Karma Drodhul, really very patient, very knowledgeable. And it was, I was really overjoyed and so happy that she is the one who lead KTD and KTC. She's very organized, and so we all are very happy, and we just do our best to support her and everybody. So first female Madam President, Madam Speaker.
Wonderful to hear.
Well, we look forward to joining you here in Jacksonville to look at our new center.
Yeah, that's finally, right? You guys work so hard. Thank you so much. Everybody's support, everybody's worked very hard, and through the blessing of Khenpo Rinpoche, H.H Karmapa. I mean, that's big. That's really big, and a lot of centers, our KTCs doesn't have lamas, but you have Lama Lozon there, and it's very fortunate. And I can't wait because I can't travel now. Because I think I won't able to travel even after pandemic, because I still, I want to make sure I'm responsible father, and make sure I won't able to travel, but this is it. I mean, Zoom. Okay, you zoomed me, I zoomed you, and we are zooming each other, right?
Well, thank you, Lama. Does anyone have any more questions before we wrap up for today?
What time is it?
We got about 15 minutes. If you
15 minutes. Okay. Any questions?
I have a question for you. I had a student ask me, they had heard the term idiot compassion. Are you familiar with that term? You've heard that
Absolutely. Term? That's taught so much in Dharma schools. Idiot compassion, or kind of dull compassion.
Would you comment on that a little bit?
Yep, absolutely. Let's say, so compassion, when we say idiot compassion, that means like maybe perfect example is you are on walking on the street, and you see there some homeless people, and you have a sense of compassion, want to help them. You give them a drug, or maybe you give them some abusive substances, or maybe this person is maybe very angry with somebody else, and he wants to revenge. You give a knife, out of compassion because I want to help the person. Those are idiot compassion. So, I mean, you meant well, but you don't say, you couldn't apply the wisdom behind, right? So that's could be the example.
When do we know we have that wisdom?
It takes patience. I think, analysis, you don't want to wait for having wisdom. And I think it takes study and takes experience, but those are actually very practical and it can be obvious too, right? I mean, like if we walk on a street, if you see a like a dog is suffering or something, and then you give them a food that is poison or something, right? Yeah. I mean, it's a food, but also it has a lot of poison or something. You don't do that. So it's kind of, that can be easy to, I think, figure out. But I don't want, before, we finish this session, I do have, today I think I wrapped my teaching in 3 parts. One is that I shared some of my experience, my own emotion struggles and also depression or whatever, sometimes feel loneliness or such. And that's not the end of the world. We want to also make sure that while you have these emotions and while you have, stress and while those depression and emotions arise, and please just have the concept that this is the opportunity, this is opportunity for me to see the other side of my mental world. That is, our own primordial wisdom is quiet, innocent, pure, even if we are struggle. So you have to remember that, because sometimes we only kind of constant effort to pushing us into darkness further and further, right? Because you are depressed, that's it. And you are angry, that's it. But you also have to expose our own wisdom. That is my one message, today's teaching. The second is that when you face a lot of difficulties or emotional, etc., but also just a little bit of, step back instead of going like 100% going forth, saying that, oh, actually, I'm not the only person going through this, right? Everybody else is going through, especially some others are much more severe than myself. So you have a sense of compassion. So immediately you are kind of generating bodhicitta or compassion to others, but at the end, we are the one who benefit, because everything is a healing, right? The earlier meditation is healing. This one is also healing. I know all of us have some kind of degree of depression, and doctors say you are depressed, etc. But also it's has to do with our habitual patterns, and of course there's a medical field, but also like practical field. And once you change in habits into meditation, more healing meditations, and maybe your depression may disappear, because it's may not be totally always genetic. I mean, I'm not a doctor, but if that's the case, maybe I'm pretty sure Buddha himself depressed before, and he still become enlightened, right? So the last, my message, I think, from today, I talked so much, and is that inspire to, even though I can't help now, but inspire, I still inspire to help other sentient beings. So these 3, maybe I don't know, could be the topic today, among all the topics. And then I also don't want to forget, this was my plan to say, at the end, but Janso already raised, I'm really happy about Jackson KTC News Center. And this has been Khenpo Rinpoche, one of his important list. And you remember that when Rinpoche was present, he was trying to help Jacksonville KTC, giving his offerings and sharing those. And so he was really emphasized on Ohio or KTC and Jacksonville KTC. And even though Rinpoche passed away, everybody put so much effort in Ohio KTC's continue building, and Jacksonville KTC got a new new center, and I really thank to everybody. I mean, who am I? I mean, but I'm just one of the student, and today I'm just represented as a like a teacher, or then just behalf of Khenpo Rinpoche, I would like to thank to everybody, and I'm really looking forward to see it and be there, and when I get older, I guess that's probably time.
Lama, we have one more question if you can fit it in.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, this is from Rosa. She said you
I'm
mentioned.
a free man.
All right. Earlier, you mentioned not abandoning anyone. How do we skillfully cope with the attachment we can develop to our expectations of others? For example, practicing compassion, but also letting go of the way the reaction of others affects us.
Well, we never expect samsaric sentient being always, doesn't make mistakes and doesn't make us angry or hurt us, we are in samsara, and I mean, let me say first and then see if I got your question. And I think, our society is built based on, our own kind of also principle and also desire. And when things doesn't, go that way, we get upset, or our family orientation, etc. But my point is that, we do need to accept who they are. It can be, the individual could be, anything. I mean, they can be nice sometimes. It's based on emotion. We are all based on emotion, right? So I think generally our expectation is that, I should be respected, or I should be, treated well, and others, we just have this very beautiful expectation. When it doesn't meet with expectation and things change, then that's how we kind of lose or break ourselves. Did I understand you? Maybe not.
Yes, thank you. I think accepting who somebody else is really kind of answers that.
Where that voice come from?
That is Rosa.
I'm in a car, so that's why I don't have the video on.
Oh, but I don't see any lift up the. Oh, I see.
Okay.
Oh, I see. Yeah. Accept who we are. I. That's the greatness of Khenpo Rinpoche. He accepted who I am. And I was a monk, and then I changed my life, and he accepted who I was, and it was beautiful. And same thing here, like, we, as a meditator, you have to accept whether it's whatever feeling you occur, you have to accept, if you, as long as you reject the feelings and expect, you be selective with your meditation feelings, or I feel good with this feeling, I'm not good with this feeling, such, and then we fail, because we are judging that wisdom has, we are judging that all these thoughts are not nature of wisdom, right? Some thoughts are yes, some thoughts are not. So that's how we kind of feel, having experience of self-liberation.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Lama Karma, for today's teaching. It's a blessing for all of us here at KTC. It's a blessing to have Lama Losang with us as well in our monastics. we really appreciate everything that you do, and the inspiration that you bring from Khenpo Karthar Rinpoche to all of these teachings is a blessing. So thank you very much.
You are very welcome, and looking forward to see you guys again. And so next time we'll figure out, maybe Mike and you and I have can spend a few minutes earlier to, I think, I don't know what happened. Now, this one I use my computer all the time, and all of a sudden it didn't work, and then my iPad works, and then it worked, Yeah, thank you, everybody, and all the best. And so let's dedicate the merit of today's teaching for the benefit of all sentient beings, and whatever merit we gather, we offer to Khenpo Rinpoche, and may we also able to have some sense of liberation of our minds before we pass, and to fulfill Khenpo Rinpoche's wish, which is to practice diligently and benefit sentient beings. And may all our KTD Monastery, or the KTCs, especially KTC Jacksonville, flourish Dharma activities, and Lamas there have long life, and all the practitioners have good practice, and benefit all sentient beings. Sonam Danje Zubani, Tony, Tana Panjani, Chegan, Bala, Trub, Siba Tolando Adora Show, Jambala Power, Chitrachambano, Kanduzumbo, Tenyon Tejin, Rak and Jisada. Gewandra Tamchira to Chonchu Sanarumbochi, Machipana, Chijiji, Chibanyamba, Meba, Kone Konda Pira Show. Adios.
Thank you, Lama.